Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where two sisters talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And we have been covering the Lindsay Clancy trial, and we are going to continue with that today. We are going to cover week 4 of the trial, which just ended. A lot happened in this week, and very interesting witnesses and testimony, which we will go through. But first, I wanted to start with just talking a little bit about I don't know what you want to call it, what's happening online.
The response
to this, what's happening on social media, the welling anger.
Yes.
It just hit a tipping point. And also I think a lot of the reasons why there's all these Patrick conspiracy theories that, well, maybe he killed the children. I think that's part of this process that women are going through with all of this, is that they're trying to look for some place to put their anger.
Yeah.
And so, because Patrick, while he may not be guilty of the killings, he is culpable in creating the atmosphere that led to these killings. And that people are starting to really understand this and be able to verbalize it. And he, at the very least, he was negligent as a parent. I don't know why he's not facing any consequence for that.
Yeah.
I don't know who leaves their children home alone for 2 days with a woman who, says that she's had thoughts of killing herself.
Or, I don't know, goes to Costa Rica 3 weeks after all your children are
everything he's done. Everything he's done.
It's awful.
But there's a lot of Patrick Clancy's out there. Maybe not quite to this degree, but this is the thing. Women are starting to wake up to the fact that these men, look, there are good men out there, but there are a lot of, like I said, a lot of Patricks out there. And men are just constantly exploiting the labor of women. And Lindsay's being punished in this case, I feel, because she was so competent. She was so competent that she kept it together for so long. And she was trying to seek help. She went to inpatient. She went to outpatient. She called suicide hotlines. She went to multiple doctors. She was reaching out to her family. She was trying so hard and still trying to keep it all together, and was keeping it together, making sure that everything was running smoothly. Meanwhile, she's writing in her journal about how she is so exhausted and could not. She said, this is just in November of 2022, she writes in her journal, "I'm so desperate to get a mental break from taking care of everyone that my mind is trying to find something physically wrong with me." So it's almost like, it would be a relief for her, for someone to say, "Oh yeah, something is wrong with you. Let us take care of you." No one's taking care of her the way that she needs to. And now they're weaponizing this against her. Like, well, look, she was building a snowman, a couple hours before. Well, yeah, because she was trying to hold it all together, be the perfect mother, be the perfect wife, have this picture perfect life. Meanwhile, she's hearing voices telling her to kill herself and kill her children.
Yeah, I think it's been a bit. I think this case came about in a bit of a perfect storm with what we've been seeing this, more and more and more when, now that we're seeing women where we don't financially need a man, we can open up our own credit cards and we can do all this stuff, right? Women are surpassing men and they don't like that. And I think it's the combination of that, what's been going on in our world politically for the last 10 years, and coupled with sort of this being thrown these articles about male loneliness. And it's like, oh, you have got to be kidding me here. Like one more thing, and constantly being blamed for everything. Like all these young men are unhappy. So, it's all of our faults that their lives aren't what it is. And it's true. Women have been keeping it together for men, that they do the majority of the work. And I feel very lucky because my husband does a lot and is not a slacker by any means. And so that's really, it was very eye-opening to me when I started watching these videos on TikTok and just hearing stories about how awful, because I will tell you, I was very naive to a lot of that. I had met many clients who had crappy husbands, but I never knew it was this bad, but it's really, really bad. And it really makes a huge difference in your life when you marry someone who supports you, loves you, takes care of you, is there for you, versus someone who's like another child. Yeah. And that's how I've been able to build my business and be a sane person and get through bad illnesses because of that. And I think that's the part that is, it's sad. It's like, God damn it. Like, why can't everyone rise to the occasion? Why can't everyone be part of this? Yeah.
And this has been stuffed down by society because it's shame, and women are ashamed. And look, I know about this. This term married single mom has become this is a new part of our vernacular now, because that's what so many women experience. Mm-hmm. And I experienced the same thing the first year of my daughter's life with my partner. And, I kind of knew he was going to be like that, but I thought, well, I'm going to give it a chance. And after a year, I was like, no, I'd rather do this alone. I'd rather not be looking at someone who's just living their own life and coming and going as they please and not caring at all. I'd rather just do this alone. It would be so much more peaceful, and I won't have that anger and resentment. Mm-hmm. So it's very painful. And I can't imagine, when I look at how much he was out of town, because I didn't realize this until just yesterday when I was doing some research. He was in tech sales. So he was traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. So he'd be away from home 2 or 3 days. And then on top of that, he would go on these weekend things with his buddies or go out with his buddies. He ran marathons. Yeah. All the stuff that takes a lot of time away from your family. Mm-hmm. That's so selfish. I'm sorry. If you want to run a marathon, wait till your kids are older. Okay. Wait till they're in school and your wife is not so overwhelmed. And then you can go run your marathon. But what is it with these men?
And the other thing too is that this is a classic example of he's in tech sales and there's a lot of travel. And I don't know if they ever talked about him maybe finding a job that would mean that he didn't travel so much. But, women make a lot of sacrifices for their families and for their careers. But when it's time for a man to make some kind of sacrifice, I'm sorry, then they act like it's such a big deal. But we're very used to this. I went through this having my son. I realized very quickly, like, my career stalled and my husband just kind of kept on rolling along. Mm-hmm. So, men don't seem to want to, stop their path of what they're doing. And so, and then on top of that, you watch, especially watching older TV shows where there's this typical wife who's nagging. Wife is nagging. Wife is, asking for this, asking for that. And it's like, well, because he's an incompetent fool. She's nagging because he doesn't follow through, because he's not doing it.
Or he can't even see what needs to be done. Yeah. He has to be told. Yeah. He can't just look at the situation and go, here, let me handle that. Let me do that.
And here's a crazy idea. All these men also go into companies and manage to figure out what needs to get done there. So somehow you're able to do it in other environments, but some of you cannot possibly do it at home.
Because it's harder.
And feel like you shouldn't have to. I think that's the other one too, is I think there are a lot of men who, and they will not admit this, they don't feel like they should have to cook, clean, care for children and any of that. They feel like if they were bringing home a paycheck, then that should be all of the women's work.
Entitlement.
Yeah, there's a lot of entitlement. And the whole male loneliness thing. We're lonely. So the loneliness is our fault versus ever looking at themselves going, well, why do I feel lonely? Or why can't I meet anyone? Or why do I have no friends? Like, it's just, it's unbelievable. And then you're murdering us constantly, abuse. It just goes on and on and on. And so, and I'm sorry, but like, men they're on notice. They're on notice and they're running scared.
Well, and especially since they had resources and they could have outsourced All of this. They could have gotten a housekeeper. They could have gotten meal delivery service. They could have, he fired the nanny when she said, I'm not going to go back to work. Well, that's not a reason to fire the nanny. That's a reason for a nanny, because she's now going to be home all day with 3 little kids, including a baby. And he's like, oh, well, if you're not going back to work, we don't need that nanny. Yeah, you do. I mean, what, to save money? Like, you don't need to save money.
No, he's got to run his marathons. He's got to go to Costa Rica to run some stupid marathon. So they don't have extra money for a nanny. Are you insane?
It's just so.
He's got an apartment. Wasn't he apartment hunting around the time that all this happened? I heard he was looking for 1-bedroom apartments in New York.
Oh, I don't know, but he sure did move to New York quickly, and then he divorced her 13 months after the killings. It's like you could not stick around long enough to see her through this trial. Like, she hadn't seen him when she saw him in court, when he came in that day to testify. I think that was the first time she had seen him since she was arrested, or, went into custody, after. I mean, her parents, they I believe they sold their home at a loss. I mean, they moved from Connecticut to near the hospital in Boston, in Tewksbury, to be near her, to care for her while she's, institutionalized, hospitalized. And he leaves town. He sells their house. And then it was also confirmed that $1.7 million GoFundMe thing, he did get all of that because her parents were paying all her legal fees, and somebody, thank God, started a GoFundMe for her parents, and it's already raised over $1 million. I'm sure it's going to go much higher, to pay them back for these legal fees, and they're moving, having to sell their home and leave and screw up their retirement plans and everything,
And I don't know much about this woman that he married. Of course, she looks just like Lindsay. I love it when men marry photocopies of people. You're just like, oh, you just keep marrying the same person. And I don't know anything about her, but I think the flip side of it is that it's just, society tells us so much that you have to have a man on your arm. A woman, if a man has a big, big career, that's great. That's all he needs. If a woman has a big career, she also needs to have a man. And then you're acceptable. I mean, there was this real feeling walking around in the world where there was really this idea of, oh, are you seeing anyone? Are you dating anyone? I was like, why is this the first question people are asking me? Like, you're not even asking me how my day is or what my other things are. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I just like to go out and get some strange, lady. I mean, what is it to you? Like, who I'm dating or not dating? But that is like the first question that got asked. And it's really hard when that becomes this definition. And I think right now we've got this whole generation of women that were sold this idea of working and caring for children. We're now all in our late 40s, 50s. We're all either perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal, and pissed. And we're just pissed. And we don't need you fuckers anymore. Sorry, we don't. So this is where we're at.
It's just sad because Lindsay did want, she did want a family. She wanted a partner. And that, I don't know. I'm sure when they were dating and got engaged, everything was great. This is just a man who could not handle the stress and the pressure of, working and being a father and caring for children. And he just couldn't do it. He couldn't even feign interest at the Children's Museum.
Yeah.
Couldn't even pretend to be interested. He's over in the corner with his hands in his pocket. I mean, this guy, he shouldn't have gotten married. But again, there's also pressure for men. And, in certain, especially in certain circles. And, I feel like he was probably raised where you got to get married and have kids because that's what everyone else is doing,
I hear that. And I feel for people. No one really knows what marriage is going to be like until you're in it. Nobody knows what it's like to raise a child until you're in it. You don't know. You don't have any control over what kind of kid you get in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's a lot of that. I come from this place of, you don't have to like Lindsay, but you gotta at least fake it for these kids. I mean, that's the gross part. Like at the very, I mean, you don't even feel enough guilt that these are your children. Maybe that this isn't the funnest thing in the world. You know, not every minute of being a parent is great. You know, there's some hard parts, but you smile, you endure, you deal with stuff you don't want to do because you do it for your kid. And that's the part that really just bugs me about him, that he couldn't even I mean, fine. If you want to have an affair, if you want to go off, you don't want to be fine, but at least, God damn it, do it for your kids and be worried enough about her, about this woman, because she is the person caring for your children. Because that's the other part of it too, is you know, it's his disinterest in the kids. It's like, he's not at all worried. You know, he's annoyed with the fact that she's melting down.
Yeah.
He's not concerned.
Annoyed by it. Yeah.
He's not concerned. That's a sense I get. I don't know. I wasn't in the
I get the sense that he saw the whole thing as a big bummer.
Yeah.
You know, and it was getting in the way of his activities.
Holidays.
Yeah, his activities, his life, his marathons, his triathlons, whatever he was doing, his guys' trips, his this, his that. He just wanted to live life and come home and just sort of, you know, pick up the kids and play with them for 5 minutes and then, you know, get back to whatever he was doing. This is just so awful. And, you know, this is an extreme case, but I'm sorry, the mental load and the amount of work and caregiving and being responsible that women have to do is so exhausting and it's so taxing. And that's what women are upset about. It's not just this case. You know, this has brought this out into the public, you know, discourse. But
so there was did you see all the women, all like the 20th, which is last Thursday, was the big day that everyone was going to wear pink, just like they did for Karen Reed. And it was really interesting to see all of the people because they were interviewing. I mean, women came from Tennessee, women came from, so funny. This one reporter's like, Mr. Reddington, you know, is trying to get the attorney, Mr. Reddington, you know, what do you think Lindsay thinks about all these people here? I mean, people are coming from far and wide. There's someone here from Maine. I'm like, Maine to Massachusetts. I'm like, that's the state you came up with?
Tennessee's much farther.
Yeah, I would have gone with the Tennessee, but anyway, it was just like Maine, people from Maine. So, but it was, and I am always impressed by people that are gonna, you know, drop everything and get on those pink clothes and drive there. And and apparently she does know. And I guess there's outpouring of flowers and gifts. I guess Reddington's wife, I guess, is on social media. And I think she like records a lot of what's going on. I don't think he is per se, but yeah, now he's a feminist icon. So
yeah, you know, God, finally,
finally we have a feminist icon.
I mean, he's the dad we all like, you know, we all need. I mean, geez, he's terrific. But yeah, when they showed a clip of the transport bus, you know, that takes her back and forth, I think drove past.
Oh yeah.
You know, this line of women that were cheering for her, and Reddington seemed very, moved by the whole thing as well. So,
did you see that the guy when that car drove by all the women, they rolled down the window so that she could hear. She could hear the shouting. And Reddington, it's so funny too, because he's so different than someone like Alan Jackson, who, you know, was like ready for a soundbite and ready for this and ready for that. I don't think Reddington, I mean, I think Alan Jackson knew that this was going to be a big case and it was going to be there. And I think he's just like, what's happening? People are here, you know, because they're asking him these questions. He's like, I don't know. I'll see when I get in there. You know, he doesn't have pithy answers because he's like, oh. But he has some really good, like, great dad, like, let's cut the bullshit moments of where they're talking about the list of witnesses. He's like, you just walk over here. Here's the thing. And you take the thing and you take it and you read it. There's the witness list. Like, why do we need a motion for this? But he's good. And he's cross-examining that Dr. Mack. And then the court reporter starts to choke and he just like grabs a bottle of water, gives it to her, and then just goes right back to him. I'm like, look at this guy go. I'm like, he's a
caregiver. He gives, he doesn't take. Like,
he is a caregiver. He cares.
These other people.
Yes.
All right,
but it's just, but I think, really quickly, just for lawyers, I think the big thing that I always see with lawyers talking about this is just this masterclass. And I think that's the other part of it too, is when you see these attorneys that are so good and just years and years and years of how some people are so good and so masterful, and other people, like these two women, just can't. They keep making it worse and worse for themselves. Like, the two prosecutors are not helping themselves at all, and they keep digging a bigger hole and a bigger hole and a bigger hole for themselves.
I'm perplexed by how they got picked to be the leads on this case. They are. As a trial lawyer, it's all about connecting with the jury, and they are the antithesis of that. They are so offensive. They are so, they are not smooth at all. They are just so rude. They're literally rude. They're rude to their own witnesses. It's kind of like, they're just terrible. And like Reddington even said this in the courtroom. He said, he's like, I know when you lose a jury, I know when you go on too long, and I'm not going to sit here and go on and on and on. And yes, exactly. I was on a jury for like a month. This has been a month. They've been on it. I was on a civil jury for a month, and I can't believe how quickly they're going through this trial, like how efficient it is. And they're going to wrap it up in a few days. He's just getting to the point. He's just he's focusing on what's important. He's not boring the jury. He is confident that the jury understands and has common sense and is listening and he has faith in them. Yeah. Whereas I feel like these women, they feel like they have to put on some kind of a show, from the bows to everything about it. It's just that they are so unprofessional.
Well, but so you put on the bow thinking you're being smart and thinking, oh, this is a clever nod. And then you start to read some comments, and most of the comments are pretty mortified and feel like it's done in bad taste. So you keep wearing the bows.
Right.
So you keep going. And I think that's the kind of thing, like that shows you a lot. Like if you get some feedback, how do you take the feedback? And if people say that's really mean or awful or offensive or whatever it is, if you're going to then double down, that tells me that you are just all about your ego. Like you have to save face. Like that, you can't possibly be wrong. And I think this is the part, like these women could have, I don't know. I just feel like they keep burying themselves more and more and more. They make it worse. And some of these we'll start to get into it. But the guy that they had on, that Dr. Mack, some of these people, like, did you vet this person at all? Did you get any information from him? Like, anyway, let's go and talk about some of these people, because when you start to hear them talking about their experience and what their background is, you're like, why wouldn't you find someone who's an expert in this?
Well, maybe they couldn't find anyone.
And that's what I thought. Oh, interesting. Because it's not in the DSM, because it's not,
because no one can offer this type of testimony that you want with a straight face. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Go.
Okay. Let's dive into it.
So one thing I wanted to mention, I think this was this week or maybe the end of last week, but I think it was in the defense's case where they called that woman who worked the night shift with Lindsay. And she talked about how, when Lindsay came back to work after Cora was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 months, and she'd just come back to work, and she's got this baby monitor on Cora, which she can see on her phone, on an app on her phone. So her phone goes off, and Cora's crying and crying and crying. And, it's going on for like 10 minutes. So she starts calling Patrick, and Patrick's not answering. And she gets, so worried that she calls 911 to do a wellness check. And so they go to the house, and Patrick, he's just sleeping, sound asleep.
Oh my God.
Slept through the whole thing.
Unbelievable.
Which, that right there shows you like how out of touch he was with.
Well, and also when you have a baby, like, especially, I don't know how you were, like, even I remember when they put that little baby in the room with Steve and I that first night, it's like every time they move, you're like, what's happening? You know? And then you're like, are they alive? Are they alive? And like, this is your first kid. So you're really on edge with this. And this makes me wonder sometimes, like, I bet you anything he's wearing earplugs.
Yeah.
Because the kid's annoying crying was bugging him. Like, not even you don't want to be on deck. But mothers are on deck. I'm sorry. Like, the minute your kid, you're on it, you hear it.
Yeah. And some fathers are too. I don't want this to be an indictment of good fathers. I think this is an indictment of Patrick, because he either consciously or subconsciously just chose to tune out, to check out. That this guy was checked out, and that this was just a very good example of that. So, okay, then next we have Lindsay's mother and her sister both testify about how Lindsay, what was happening in these weeks leading up, started in the fall of 2022 when things started getting bad. And they testified about the changes with her and what she was saying to them and what she was doing. And then we get the big text. This was in October of 2022. And Reddington had this text blown up on a poster board. And so the jury will get to look at it.
Yes. But did you hear, like, the judge asked him, just like, well, he said, well, do you have the original copy of that text? The judge asked him, he's like, yeah, how else could I have blown this up? I was like, that's what I love about him. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Keep going.
So the text, this is October of 2022. She texts her mom and it says, Mom, will you please come and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone. Mm. So her mom immediately comes, and her mom and her sister stayed with her off and on during that time. And her mom testified how Lindsay even would sleep in the bed with her, with her mom. And then December of 2022, that's when Lindsay told her mom and told Patrick that she had thoughts of harming the children. And her mom said she stayed there from October to December because Lindsay was scared to sleep alone, paranoid, believed that the meds were destroying her mind. Her sister said in December 2022, Lindsay told her she had suicidal thoughts every day for a month. Mm. So, and again, Patrick is well aware of this as well. So then we hear from Patrick's mother. And this is where, Bo and, Bo number one, Bo number two, or I don't know which one cross-examined her, but this was cruel. Like, she testified about how Lindsay was begging for help. And she's also a labor and delivery nurse. She's begging for help. She was, this is a woman who's supportive of Lindsay. This is Patrick's mom. Now, mind you, this woman looked so sad.
Yeah.
She's a grieving grandma.
Yes.
She lost 3 grandchildren. And, she clearly saw Lindsay as, a daughter. And then these asshole prosecutors on cross-examination, they first, one of them says, are you aware that Lindsay once told her therapist that you guys weren't close?
Ooh. Oh, sick burn.
Just rude.
Yeah.
So rude. And then she says, so you're a practicing Catholic, right?
Yes.
And the mom says yes. And she says, are you aware that murder is a mortal sin? And the judge just was like, counsel sidebar. Like he scolded her and struck that from the record. That was the worst. And anyway, so she finishes her cross-examination, and as mom's, walking off the stand, walks past counsel table, she gives Lindsay kind of a nod, like, acknowledging her. So I don't think that these, clearly she's supporting her. And, again, this is just, how is this helping you? How is this helping your case?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's the ego. Like, if they really cared about the case if they really cared about this case and really cared about proving and seeking justice, let's say, they wouldn't be acting the way they are. They just wouldn't be acting this way. No. I'm sorry. I get the feeling that both of them just got locked into something, and they just convinced themselves that, okay, this is how we're going to do it. But isn't there someone, don't these two women, they have a supervisor. You have a supervisor. So where is this person to come in and be like, hold on a second, you two need to change your strategy here. The other question I had was, how does it work? Like, who, these trials, the Karen Read trial and this trial, it's the tax dollars of the state or of the county?
Well, it's both. The county gets a budget from the state, has a budget for these things, and then the state doles it out to the county, and the county has a budget. So that county that the case is being tried in, it's their budget.
Okay. I was just like, I wonder if you're a Massachusetts resident, how annoyed are you that your tax dollars are now being spent on a second case? Just prosecuting women. Yeah. Another debacle, millions of dollars, the amount of, everyone knew about the Karen Read and how much money they were spending on these experts and other people. And you're just, I don't pay taxes there. I don't know, but I wonder how a taxpayer feels. Because if this was happening here, I would be so annoyed. I would be so furious.
Let's go back, rewind back in time after this happens. And the district attorney makes the head district attorney of the office makes a decision. Okay, we're going to prosecute this woman, and we're going to prosecute her for first-degree murder. They could have made different decisions. They could have looked at the totality of the circumstances and the facts and decided to charge her with second-degree murder. They could have chosen to just accept a plea of, a not guilty by reason of insanity, or not criminally responsible, as they have say it in Massachusetts. They had choices. They didn't have to go balls to the wall like this and be like, first degree, this woman, premeditated murder, killed her 3 children. That's what gets me, is that, there's a lot of times there's this vengeance of these prosecutors' offices. And it's very unhealthy, and it's very against what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be seeking justice. It's not a game to see how many people can we put in prison? How many people can we send to death row? And a lot of these prosecutors think in those terms, literally. Yeah.
Well, everyone and this is part of the problem, is everyone thinks that being quote unquote tough on crime means locking people away, tighter rules, longer sentences. And we've tried this. It does not work. And until we can change when we talk about someone being tough on crime needs to be more programs, more help for people, more programs and how to help them get out of prison.
Preventing crime.
Yes, preventing crime. And also, creating programs for kids so that they don't automatically go in that direction, helping people. Like, there are so many things that can be done to be tough on crime, but it doesn't matter. We are very punitive. Like, we just feel like we have such an eye for an eye mentality that it's like, but again, and I think this is a little bit of our entitledness. There's an entitled kind of like, you hurt me, I hurt you attitude.
Yeah. And people still have, mental illness is still not very well understood by a lot of people. And this all goes back to, well, I could never have done that.
Yes.
Well, I would never do that. And it's like, well, you don't know. You don't know what you're capable of doing when you have voices in your head telling you to kill yourself and kill your children. And one of the experts that testified, I'll get to that when we get to him. So anyway, so now the okay, we continue. This is the defense case. The defense puts on their experts. So Dr. Condi is the first one to testify. He's a clinical and forensic psychiatrist. And he talked mostly about, so he had never interviewed Lindsay, or he's just going off of the records. So he says he testified about how sparse the records were in terms of her treatment. There wasn't a lot there. He detailed what she had done, the calls to the suicide hotlines. And he focused a lot too on her answers to these questions. There was a bunch of stuff she filled out with those psychiatrists. And a lot of times it was just check a box, like check box if you've had this in the last 24 hours. They weren't eliciting a lot of detail or information. It was like checking boxes to see if you qualify for the next level of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was kind of going through that. He was going through the process, kind of recapping like what Dr. Tufts and the other doctor, the treating doctors, what they had done. And, it's basically criticizing it. And he talked a lot too about that she appeared to be hiding her symptoms for fear of losing her children and her medical license being revoked because she's a nurse. And yes, I mean, that's one of the problems underlying in this case is she did downplay it a lot, because if she would have told a mandated reporter that I'm having thoughts of killing my children, those kids would have been out of that house within an hour.
Yep.
They would be removed. And she knew that. So she had to dance around that. Yeah. So that's a lot of what he did. And then the next doctor, Dr. Zeisel, he's a clinical and forensic psychologist, and he actually saw her, was treating her from the time that she was arrested and went to Tewksbury Hospital. And he saw her something like 60 different times. So he had the most experience, one-on-one experience with her. And he talked about the extreme delusions she had, these loud thoughts she had. And he's the one who first gave this diagnosis, saying that she was incapable of conforming her behavior to the law. And that's the key to a insanity or clinically or not criminally responsible verdict. And I liked him. He seemed very warm and sincere, and like he knew her the best.
I think he came across really well, because I think the prosecutors were trying to trip him up at some point, and he was able to kind of very smoothly get her. I can't remember exactly what the question was, but
yeah, no, he handled them. So, and he's the one who I keep wanting to say Remington. It's not Remington.
I know.
Big Red has said something about, do you care for her? And he said, yes, I do. And that kind of caused a little bit of hubbub. It's like, oh, God forbid someone.
Well, yeah, thank you. That was the thing. And they get into this whole thing about caring for someone. It's like, yeah, your job, I'm sorry, I care about all my clients. I don't, do I like them all, or do I want to be their best? No, but I care. I care what happens to them. And my job is to care. Like, that's the other part of it too, is like, I'm sorry, but your job is to care about what's happening with this person.
Yeah.
And what shocks me, because you told me to read the civil complaint, and I did. What shocks me about just seeing it all laid out is how, a couple things. One is, I can imagine what made things worse, but despite the fact that she wasn't getting the help that she needed, I can imagine things got worse and worse because Lindsay had nowhere to turn. Like, can you imagine, like, you're slowly going insane, and then everywhere you go, you can't be honest about it, and then they can't help you. And so then you feel even crazier. So I do wonder what would have happened if one of these providers along the way were like, hold on a second, you seem to have seen a lot of people. Let's stop this. Like, let's get this. I had this woman in, when I worked at a big healthcare company who, like, she was bipolar. She needed to be on a certain medication. The pharmacy kept screwing it up. The doctor, the psychiatrist, and it was like this whole thing, but she could not, she needed to be stable on the meds, but she couldn't because the pharmacy and the doctor kept screwing something up and giving her the wrong brand. Mm-hmm. And so finally one day I just used my lunch hour and I just went and just was like, okay, we're going to straighten this out. Like, yeah. So that's the thing. I'm not saying I'm a savior because I didn't do that every single day, but I'm just saying that it's amazing to me that not one person along the way just said, hold on a second. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, mm-hmm. Somebody has to do something. And it's just, and it's sad. It's really sad because I think there's various reasons why. Sorry, keep going. Why?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I just think, because these people are only allotted 15 minutes, to talk to each person. But yeah, and there was, forget which expert was talking about this. There was an indication that Lindsay, that her particular metabolism, she metabolized this medication very slowly. Mm-hmm. And so therefore it was building up in her system. Mm. And one of these experts testified that they should, when these signs started coming up that there were the medication wasn't working and, it wasn't having the effect it should, or she was deteriorating, right? They should have done a blood test to see, okay, mm-hmm. what is the levels of these blood? Because what's happening is if you metabolize it slowly, you're taking your regular doses and it's building up in your body mm-hmm. too quickly. So you're over medicated. And ultimately that's what the conclusion was. She was mm-hmm. significantly over medicated. But I remember back in when the defense was questioning the treating, Dr. Tufts and those people, and he asked, well, did you give her a blood test? And this is what he was getting at. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no. And he said, why not? She's like, because we don't do that. We just look at the person who's in front of us. Mm.
And that's not right, because at that large healthcare company that I worked at, mm-hmm. anybody who had never taken a med before had to go get a blood panel.
Yeah.
Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages. So I'm sorry. It is standard. It's standard care. And the other thing too is you also have a standard to not, if someone comes and sees you, if you're my patient, and the person that I think, this Dr. Tufts, who is the first person that she went to, the first psychiatrist, it seems like, who really seemed to know what was going on from the beginning, none of these people bothered to get records. They never bothered to do any research. I mean, if you've seen them now 3 or 4 times and it's getting worse and worse, you're not mm-hmm. going to do any due diligence. So It is ethically your requirement to do some due diligence, but it's also, you cannot leave someone hanging. You cannot ethically just be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Peace out. You have to give them referrals at the very least. And it sounds like a lot of these people were like, yeah, we can't help you, or here's some meds, see you later. Like, nobody ever followed up with her on anything.
Yeah. No, it was a complete breakdown. You talk about the standard of care. That's really the heart of her civil complaint. Mm-hmm. There's about, 4 pages of, standard of care was breached because ABCD. The standard of care was breached because, and just went through every single thing, every single misstep where the standard of care wasn't met. You should have given her a blood test. You should have done this. You should have done that. When she told you this, you should have done that. And just on and on and on.
Well, and they didn't even ask about the other pregnancies, because she had, from the civil complaint, she had, with her first child, Cora, she had anxiety-related symptoms, but she went back to work. It got better. And then when she had her second kid, that's the thing is that this was building up in her every time she had, the postpartum got worse and worse and worse. But no one ever bothered to ask, how did you feel after the first 2 kids? Mm-hmm. Because I think after Dawson, it said that she had manic behavior. She was October 2020, obsessively organizing things, which is such, and running at 4:00 in the morning and then doing an hour.
Yeah.
That is hypomania. I mean, that's not just a mom with a lot of energy. That is, is hypomania. And not one of you put that together.
She was running every morning. She'd get up at 4 a.m. She ran 3 miles, then did like an hour of cardio on a bike or something, and then did an hour of aerobics.
Well, and she started obsessively exercising 1 week after giving birth to Callan. And that's the other one too. Not one person, like that's kind of a red flag. I'd be like, wait a minute, what are you doing? I mean, if I heard that, I would start to worry that this person had like eating issues. Like that would be my first, like, do you have body confidence here? Like, do you feel like you have to get back into the skinny jeans or what's going on? But you don't follow up any questions with that? Anything?
Well, did they even diagnose her with bipolar, or was that after the fact?
I think it was after the fact, but part of it is what the civil case is saying is you all should know that she was showing you signs of bipolar. And one nurse along the way indicated that it may be bipolar, but didn't go all the way down that way. But again, as a psychiatrist, if you're prescribing someone SSRIs and they're not responding to them, continuing to give them more SSRIs is not the standard of care. Do you know what I mean? Like giving them more of the same thing is not the standard of care. And that's the part that I think is really disappointing is I think some of it is our healthcare system's impacted. And yes, they don't have a ton of time. And what, the big health insurance place that I worked for, they want you to do more and more and more. That's why I left. But, the other part of this is it just feels like not one person ever just did an extra hour of anything. You know what I mean? It's just, this is so colossal. This is, just one bad provider after another. And usually you get someone good along the way that will intervene. But this tells you a lot. It tells you a lot about the way our system's set up, and especially that Dr. Tufts, she had just graduated. She just became licensed. Yeah, she's young, but she should be full of she should be the first one ordering blood tests and doing all this stuff. Right. You're the most nervous then. You are the most anxious when someone tells you they're having suicidal thoughts 6 months in.
Well, but to be fair, she wasn't telling her providers that for fear of having her children taken away. So they're only getting kind of half of the story. And that's where, there's a huge breakdown in treatment. But if she had been forthcoming about the voices and how bad it really was, maybe they would have taken that extra step, but they didn't. So, but if someone's presenting over and over and over, they're not getting better, they're deteriorating, whatever. Yeah, you need to take the next step and get a blood test or get their prior records or do something.
Well, and Patrick didn't come with her until December. Like, I think I have it written down. Like November from she, 16th, the 21st, 25th, 29th. Boom, boom, boom. Every time seeing doctors. And then December of that year, December 6th, Patrick finally goes with her. And to basically give some other, just information saying, hey, this is not working. And then the end of that thing was they ended up upping her Seroquel. They're like, how did we get here? And so now you've got someone coming in, someone who is now reporting this behavior, and you just up the same med. Anyway, that's sorry, crazy. But you're right. Okay. She did not give you the full. And you can't make people tell you something, but you are also responsible for how someone presents.
Yeah.
And if they
should have gone a step.
And if your presentation doesn't match what you're saying, that's also something worth looking into.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. So the last defense witness is their final expert witness is this Dr. Philip Resnick. Now, this is interesting. He So he's considered, like, in the United States, like the foremost expert in filicide, which is when people kill their children. And there are different types of filicide. It can be like the kind that it was here. He characterized it as, what is the word? It's like compassionate. That's not the right word. It'll come back to me. But you can do, most of the time it's done out of hostility or to get back at the other parent or, something more nefarious. Whereas in this case, she believed that her children were better off with her in heaven than here on earth. Because remember, she tried to kill herself too.
Yeah.
That was her plan. She and her children were going to go to heaven together, be together, and everything would be okay. And that would be better than them being here on this hell on earth that she was experiencing. So Dr. Resnick has evaluated 80 patients who have killed their children. He's consulted on many high-profile cases, the Jeffrey Dahmer case, the Unabomber case, Casey Anthony, and the Andrea Yates case. And this is very interesting because the Andrea Yates, who we covered her a little while back, but I think most people know that she drowned her 5 children. I think it was 5. Yeah, in the bathtub. She had postpartum psychosis, and the first trial. And she was not denying. Same thing. She was trying to get not guilty by reason of insanity. And in the first trial, she was convicted. She did not get not guilty by reason of insanity. And then on appeal, it was overturned because, now remember this person's name, the psychiatrist who testified in the first trial was this guy named Park Dietz. And he testified that there was an episode of Law and Order where a woman drowned her children in the bathtub, or maybe they were killed differently. But anyway, a woman killed her children and she pled not guilty by reason of insanity, and she got off, quote unquote, and that Andrea Yates had seen this episode and modeled her defense after it. And so luckily that got overturned on appeal.
And now he has Park Dietz and Associates.
We'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
We're going to get to that because this is part of this same case. So then, second trial, they bring in Philip Resnick, and he actually, testifies, explains postpartum psychosis, and with his expertise is able to convince the jury to find her not guilty by reason of insanity, which she was. So this guy is the foremost expert in the country on this. And I don't know how much they had to pay to get this guy, but, it's the best money can buy. So, the prosecution tries to poke holes in him. They can't really, though. This guy is solid. So then the prosecution is allowed to do what's called rebuttal. So the defense rested their case after Dr. Resnick. And so the prosecution then brings in for their rebuttal Dr. Avram Mack. And he happens to work for an organization called Park Dietz and Associates. And this is the same Park Dietz. This is his company where he has this team of experts who you can hire, and they go around and testify about different stuff. So he's a psychiatrist, Dr. Mack. He's retained to rebut whatever the defense has put forward. And it comes out very quickly that this guy has no experience in this area. His focus is pediatric and adolescent psychiatry. teen drug use, alcohol abuse, and addiction. And so Reddington says, so your interest is on adolescents that like to smoke weed and drink, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh yeah.
And, he's like, and then he's talking about his CV and he's pounding on the podium and he's like, where in here does it say that you have ever come within breathing distance of a pregnant woman?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Reddington's insulted.
Yeah. Well,
that this is who they've brought in.
Because the other thing too is in the mental health field, people that focus on drug and alcohol, that is a subspecialty. And so usually if you study drug and alcohol, you kind of get siloed in that place. I'm just wondering how this guy keeps getting, and so he would be great for that. But anyway, it's very much it's like an outside, I think Mac sort of saw himself more as a generalist, like he was saying, I'm a generalist. Mm-hmm. But then that means you should not be testifying. Like, then why were you picked of all the people at Park Dietz?
Well, I think that they had a hard time finding someone who was going to go up because whoever the prosecution gets has to follow Philip Resnick, the foremost expert in this area in the country.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of doctors they approached were like, no.
You think this guy was just dumb enough to say, okay, sure. That sounds like fun.
He said, well, pay me X amount. And they said, okay. Mm-hmm. No, seriously, I think that they approached multiple other doctors and they saw what the case was about. They saw that this guy was testifying and they were like, no, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, and it gets worse. So then Reddington asks him, well, what investigation did you do, prior to forming your opinion? And he's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, I have to explain to you what investigation means. So it turns out he never spoke to Lindsay. He learned about her, or before the case, well, let me back up. He did speak to her, but everything he learned about her and about the case was from basically interviewing her while she was medicated in a psychiatric hospital. That's when he got the information from her that he needed. And he did not interview anybody from her life to find out anything more about her. And I can't remember. I don't think they finished his testimony. I think he's going to be back Monday morning.
Okay.
So they ran out of time. They had to wrap up. And I don't think Reddington was finished with him. And then they said that there might be another psychiatrist from Park Dietz. They're doubling down. Yeah, that might be testifying as well. So
that's great.
Monday morning, there's going to be more from these people, and then they're going to give their closing arguments.
And the other part of it too is, I work at this forensic consultancy. I know a lot about adolescents and drug and alcohol cases. I'm being asked to go and work on this, postpartum case. Did the guy even read some articles? Do any? He didn't even do any independent investigation outside of this. He didn't even look up. It doesn't sound like he did any kind of work of looking things up, like doing some due diligence, talking to a colleagues, anything.
Well, and that's what an expert is supposed to do. You don't even, a lot of times experts will testify about people who are dead. They can't even talk to the person, obviously, but they will get their medical records. They will talk to their families. They will talk to people who knew them. And based upon those interviews and those records, they can give an opinion. It's just their opinion, as an expert, you can take it or leave it. But they can form an opinion as to a lot of different things about mental state, capacity, all kinds of different stuff. That's the job of an expert. So yeah, I mean, what he just showed up and he was just going to say what?
He just showed up and was like, okay, do. I really want to know if that guy has kids and a wife. I mean, he was very much like, you don't stop and think. You don't even, I don't know, if this was a male erectile dysfunction situation, I would at least consult with a man. I mean, dear God, like
find out what are the symptoms.
What are the symptoms?
What is it
but
like?
That's the thing. Sometimes you are, you're in these situations where you're like, this is not my specialty, but I'm going. But your job is to consult with other people, consult with supervisors, consult with other clinicians, have support, have the help. That's what they're there for. So that's the other part too. And I think this compounds. I think the more the trial goes on, and I think this was the same for Karen Read, the more it becomes so obvious that there's just all of this incompetence, and it's just a shitload of incompetence, and then some woman's on trial. And I think that is also part of why I think women, but people are so angry because in our society today, there seems to be a lot of people that are very incompetent, that are allowed to do a lot. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I think if our administration is just full of incompetent people. I'm sorry.
Well,
come for me then.
There are people who see, I don't know how to explain it because I'm not one of those people. I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year. I still sometimes think, am I right about this?
Yeah.
Am I doing this right? Let me look this up. I'm not, I constantly, daily.
Yes.
I don't pretend to know everything, and things change throughout the years and laws change and things. So you're constantly having to be like, well, let me make sure that's still the case. That's still right.
Yeah.
The thing I learned in law school 30 years ago. And so you either have that kind of a mindset that, I don't know everything. I'm just trying to keep up here. And, I know a lot. I have a lot of experience. So I know when I know I need to look something up. That's the difference. Like, the people who don't know that they don't know everything, they're the dangerous people. But people who can recognize, okay, I need to make sure I look this up. I know what I'm talking about. Whatever. That's what you're supposed to do as a professional and keep up with what's happening. And, going back to this Park Dietz guy, why the hell does he think he's so great? And he has this company with these schlub,
Well, but how does he have a company?
Well,
shouldn't his career be ruined from lying?
Listen, he lost the John Hinckley case. He was the psychiatrist who was on the other side, who was hired by the other side. He lost that case. He lost the Dahmer case. He lost, it was overturned on appeal in the Yates case. Yeah, why is this man still working?
Yeah, and the other thing too is he wrote, and I could be wrong about this, but this is what the internet's telling me. Like, he only wrote one book, and the one book he wrote was about autoerotic asphyxiation. Like, you know what I mean? Because he was part of the Meese Commission. Like, to tell us what is pornography or not.
Right.
I mean,
such an important question.
If you look up this guy on the internet, the picture that's there is him with a skull, like a skull, and the skull is talking to him. He's got the skull up to his ear. So that alone should tell you that this guy's kind of a wackadoo. But he, I mean, so this is the other part of it too. It's like, this guy is failing upwards. That's the other part about this stuff that's driving people crazy. It's like, you have this full thing. You're making tons of money, I'm sure, because of all your connections, and people are still hiring you. The prosecutors are going to you. That's nuts. I just don't get it.
Well, again, I think their selection was not maybe.
No, but then that makes you think, okay, well, who's in bed with who? When you see all this incompetence, you have to believe that somebody around here knows something, because why do you keep hiring Why do you keep hiring this company? So there's got to be some kind of relationship. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, thank goodness for Dr. Resnick. He's pretty much impeachable.
But this guy Dietz went to Cornell, he went to UPenn, he went to Johns Hopkins. I mean, it's not like he's a schlub here. I mean, but dear God, he is. I just can't believe that he even has a career.
Well, that was a long time ago that he went to all those schools. And quite frankly, back then, if you're a white man,
I guess so.
You just go through these things. You were just handed these degrees from these places. I'm not impressed.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so probably have one more day of trial, and then it will go to the jury.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess Dietz testified in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, the 2021 federal sex trafficking trial.
Well, that turned out well for her.
Yeah. This guy's got quite a winning record.
Yeah.
Well,
what was he testifying about?
Oh, I don't know. I was just flipping through because I guess him being on this Meese commission means that he's
he understands.
Yeah, he understands sex. He understands. He knows what pornography is when he sees it. I don't know. I mean, I can go back here. Epstein.
Oh, that's okay. I found the term for what Dr. Resnick said. That this was called altruistic filicide. That's when you kill out of love and not hostility. So that's what kind of a filicide this was. Like I said, that she just wanted to be with her children in heaven in peace. And, did you see they had the chaplain?
Mm-hmm. The blonde woman?
The blonde woman who, she talked about that.
Pleasant and nice.
Oh gosh, she's like a
lovely.
angel.
She's a lovely lady.
I know. She has this soothing voice. I'm like, oh my gosh. She testified how they spoke about that because I almost called her Andrea. Lindsay was very concerned about her kids if they were safe. That's all she wanted for them. Safety from her, because she knew that she knew what was happening, and she just wanted them to be safe. And the chaplain said, "Yeah, they're safe with God." And it's just so tragic.
Yeah, I mean, there are the Patrick conspiracy theories, because I'll hear one and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting, but because there are some things that are a little strange, like with the timeline and the CVS thing. Like,
every case has that. Yeah.
There are some things, but I just don't think if Patrick wanted out of this marriage, wanted out of all of this, so he could run off with this other woman, I feel like this would be, then he decides to convince her to, so he's slowly making her crazy and convincing her that she's crazy to the point where then he kills the children and makes her think that she killed the children. Then he, does all this stuff to her to, hopefully end her life, but she can't. I don't know. It seems very far-fetched. I just don't believe that all of that could. Well, I just don't believe all of that. It seems like if this is all a big conspiracy, I feel like it would have been a little more straightforward.
Yeah, no. And also, she filed about a 30-page civil complaint saying that she did it and that she is, the doctors who didn't treat her properly are responsible, and the people who employ them, the hospitals and all these people are in turn responsible. And I hope they televise that case.
Oh yeah. I hope they really stick it to all of them. But what was I going to say? Even though, oh God damn it, I had an argument for that, because people would then say, what was your argument about that? Sorry, I said, I think it's far-fetched. If this were a conspiracy, why is she admitting all of these things?
Because
he convinced her. That he like this is part of the ultimate gaslighting, is convincing her.
Patrick is not that smart.
Okay, I know. I'm just telling you, like that's we've gotten a few comments from people that are like, oh, it's Patrick, it's Patrick, it's Patrick. So, and so but been listening to them and you're like, okay, I can see that. But but again, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that I'm amazed by how many people believe this. And
I am too, because you don't think that the police did investigate him?
Well, apparently, this is it, that apparently they closed the investigation on Patrick within 24 hours, and that they indicted Lindsay before she even woke up.
Well, I mean, I don't know what. I don't know. It's
if this is part of something that he has been plotting. I mean, dear God, guess what, people? I don't think this is the guy who was like standing in the corner of, the science museum. This is not a go-getter. Like, no. You know what I mean? He is not like, I think he would have been more involved. I think that if he really, like, why make yourself look so terrible in all of this? I don't know. No, I understand why people are putting the finger on him. And my guess is I'm sure he's probably getting a lot of crap online, and I'm sure things are probably a little hard for him right now. And I don't feel so bad about that, but I just feel like it's too many things.
Well, so, yeah, he's not that smart. He, again, people are looking for a place to make sense out of something that makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's scary for people to accept the truth, because that's scary that this could happen to somebody, that this happened to Lindsay.
That you're a good mother that cares about your children, that's always wanted this, and that this could happen. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and this guy was scary. A piece of shit father and a piece of shit husband. And I can't believe that this new wife, would you marry someone?
No, that's what I was saying the last time we talked about this. I said, who is this woman? Like, did she? But everyone's convinced that they had some kind of thing going before all of this happened. But yeah, I mean, the fact that this guy went to Costa Rica 3 weeks after his 3 children are died,
mm-hmm.
like, you wouldn't be like, ew.
Yeah, he just moves. He moves within, I think, 4 months. Sells the house. Doesn't even visit Lindsay. Doesn't even stay there to support her through any of this. I mean, the woman almost died. She's paralyzed. Oh, and that whole thing about the temperature. They had someone come into court and talk about how the minute you have a spinal cord injury, it cuts off all of the blood flow to your legs, and your leg, all the is it the arteries or whatever, they either dilate or they can't dilate, or something happens where they can no longer regulate the temperature in your legs. So that's why your body temperature drops. So, there are scientific explanations for all this stuff, but people put, there's just, the internet is flooded. If I hadn't done all this, if I hadn't watched this and read all this stuff and done, I probably would have, if you just look at the internet and that's all you're looking at, then yeah, you're like, oh my God, there people are just giving facts without explanations or context or anything. So,
yeah, but you're right. Yeah. You have to look at this woman and go, okay, this is the person you're going to marry. And I hate to be the one to tell you this. He's going to eventually treat you like crap too.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have a baby with him.
I know she wants to have kids because, she's a reproductive endocrinologist, and she talked about, someone found some talk she gave or something. She talked about how she froze her eggs because she was starting to get older. And so she wants to have kids.
So this is the guy,
this is who you
now
choose.
It's time. This is the guy. And I think some of this is the pressure that the world feels, to meet someone, to get married, to have children. I think on both sides, but I think especially since women do have a body, there is a stopping date,
right?
That a lot of people make these choices that I think they never would have made.
I mean, she's an attractive doctor in New York City.
And apparently her parents are like millionaire billionaires. Apparently she comes from this family with money. So it's a little bit like this guy, and he's not
this guy.
I mean, it'd be one thing if he was really hot. You'd be like, oh, okay, he's smooth, he's this, he's that. Like, he's a dork.
Yeah.
And this guy, and that's the other part of it too. I think that's also the anger comes from that of like, you got to be kidding me here. This guy and women are being criticized constantly because she's 5 pounds, quote unquote, 5 pounds overweight, and you now need to tell her about it. It's like awful. Ugh. Anyway.
God. Okay. Well, we will wait for a verdict. We will be back to deconstruct all of that. This case is really, it's got everyone fired up.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's fired up.
I think we do. Well, I think we have to get angrier and angrier. We have to get angrier. We cannot be complacent as a whole. We just can't.
Well, do you want to briefly mention the link to Hayden Panettiere? Yeah. So, the actress Hayden Panettiere. I
think it's Panettiere.
I wrote it down phonetically. It's Panettiere. Anyway, she was in that series. Was it Nashville
and Heroes? She's been acting since she was a kid. I mean, she's been in tons of stuff.
She's had a tough life.
Yes,
as a lot of child actors do, and so she had a child. I think more than 10 years ago. I think her child is now maybe like 12 or 13. And, she actually ended up signing over custody of her child to the father. They live in Europe. So Hayden died from a drug overdose, an apparent drug overdose. I don't know if that's officially been given as the cause of death, but she had drug problems throughout her life. But how it ties to this case is she had postpartum depression. I don't know what the exact diagnosis was, but she struggled. And I think that was part of the reason why she ended up giving up custody of her daughter. She just wasn't able to. And also had a drug problem too.
Well, and mind you, she got a bunch of crap for that. There was a lot of people, again, if the dad had said, for this child's safety, I need to separate myself, it would be very different. But she was criticized heavily for doing the thing. People are mad at Lindsay for not, for this, and someone else does it, and then you get criticized for it. Keep going.
Right. Because she was doing it because she had a drug problem and she did not want to expose her child to any of that crap. And she knew her child would be better off in a more stable environment with her father. And plus she was an actress and always traveling, going here and there. So then in 2015, she goes on I don't know if it was Regis and Kelly or
it was it was
Ryan.
Kelly and Michael.
Michael who?
Michael. Remember Straight?
That's right.
I saw him in New York once. He is really cute in person. I just want to say, very cute.
Okay. Well, she's on that show promoting something, and she opened up about her postpartum struggles. And so at that point, this is 2015, she had a 10-year-long partnership with Neutrogena. And as soon as she said that on TV, Neutrogena dropped her. And now that this has all come out, well, they didn't renew her contract whenever it came back up. But she'd been with them for 10 years and was a very, successful brand of, face of the brand, whatever. And so now that people have found that out, people are mad at Neutrogena. There's been a backlash. Their stock has dropped. People are boycotting them, which, we were talking earlier. I mean, I don't even know if the same people who made that decision are even running the company anymore. But
we were talking about this before we started. I said, well, they didn't. It sounds to me like Neutrogena is acknowledging what happened, apologizing for it, trying to make it right. And again, I don't know who made that decision 10 years ago, and the person that's making decisions now is probably a different person. But I think, listen, Neutrogena is going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like Neutrogena is going to bounce back, but maybe this is what needs to happen to get these corporations. I mean, we can't get corporations to treat people humanely, as their workers. I mean, we're having so many problems right now with with people not making the working poor and not making enough money and working at this job but living in their car, all of these things. Maybe shaming these companies is the only way we're ever going to make things different. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, and we've seen that this does work. The bottom line with people is money, and it's a very powerful way to have your voice be heard.
Yeah, I think Target apparently, Target is really like they took a huge hit, when they canceled DEI. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they had just kept DEI, they would not have taken this. You know what I mean? But yeah, that boycott really got some attention. I don't know what they're doing about DEI now, but I know I read some article like they're really hurting. Really, I mean, they still make billions, but they're really hurting.
Well, and I always thought Target was a good corporation. I don't know why they caved to that.
That's why people were even more pissed, because there was always this idea of like Walmart's the bad one, but Target's the good one, and let's support Target and ba 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 ba. And I think there was a lot of anger around, wait a minute, we thought you were the good guys. We thought you cared. But no, it's Costco. Yeah. Costco pays their employees $31 an hour.
All of their employees, or that's like an average?
I don't know if that's an average, but I've had clients that I know work there. I mean, they were good jobs, really good jobs, full healthcare. They don't dick around with like, oh, you work 31 hours, so now you don't get the healthcare. Like they treat their employees like they're actual people. And oh, what a crazy idea! And look how well they're doing. I just don't understand why these companies don't get it. Every time they adopt DEI, every time you all raise everyone's salaries, when you don't do these mass fire, like it always ends up as like a good thing in the end. It's always positive. It's just that it's that desire of like, but this quarter, how much is it? This, it's that idea of like people being so fixated on what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, well, it's like you got to look at the big picture, not just,
and that's a problem. We don't have enough people looking at the big picture. Anyway.
I know. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But thanks, everyone, for joining us. And like I said, we will be back with the verdict when it comes out. In the meantime, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe. And you can also leave us a 5-star rating and review if you're so inclined, if you enjoy our podcast. And if you want more of us, we have a Patreon. And on our Patreon, we do 4 bonus episodes every month. Sometimes we cover a true crime case. We might do just hot topics, ask us anything.
Yeah, this week we're doing a documentary that was a doozy of a documentary. And I feel sad now.
Yeah, sometimes on our Patreon, we pick some more obscure kind of documentaries. And which this one is. This one is called I Think We're Alone Now. And it's about the singer Tiffany. I
thought it was going to be about the singer Tiffany. No, it's not. It's about people that are obsessed with Tiffany.
Yes.
And it's interesting. And they're an interesting group. Yeah. So if you want to dig into that.
Yeah. And we always take recommendations. We listen to what you want us to cover, and we try to do that and do things that are a little bit off the beaten path. Yes. So anyway, if you're interested in that, please go head over to Patreon at Psych Legal Pop. And we're also on social media. So find us anywhere.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.